It's kind of weird, but I wanted to.
Good
That was
morning, good people. Good morning, good people.
that was a weird intro, but
That
that,
was when it's created.
yeah. But I'm gonna try to fix it.
But yeah.
Take you to
So
see if you can fix it.
good morning, everybody. I want to say good morning to you. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, and 6 days away from
Yep,
the 420 day.
for
I
the
don't think it's a
420.
day.
You said 420.
Yeah.
What's the 420 day?
Marijuana.
The weed day.
Yeah. Marijuana day. So all everybody that participates, you got
That's
6 days
funny.
away. Um, now,
He's saying that he don't smoke no more.
no,
Why
not
you
at all.
why you said that? You don't need
Oh,
smoke no more.
that's all I'm looking. That's what it
Oh,
is.
okay. You
For
gonna
all the smokers, I used to smoke.
you gonna do some mushrooms that day or something?
I'm doing anything that alters my mind,
We got a guest to
but I will be
come.
right there celebrating with y'all. All right, good fella, how are you doing, man? I have not met you yet.
You came off. You came on and then you came off. Hold on. Come back again.
Mhm.
Good morning. Oh, hold on. We don't hear your volume.
Just
Let's
make
see.
sure your volume's on.
My volume is on. Make sure your volume is on.
Make sure your mute's not on.
Marvin. Uh,
Hold on.
okay.
Oh, we can't hear your computer.
Hmm?
We
You
can't
can?
hear yours. Yeah.
Okay.
Just stay here.
Oh, there you
All
go,
right.
babe.
This should be
You a you a
okay. Sorry about
podcaster. You
that.
supposed to know how to do all this stuff.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've been out the game for a little bit. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good morning. Um, can you introduce your? Well, let's do it. Did you already sign in? This is the morning show with H2O and Dr. Butterfly, the relationship
And
specialist.
let me finish our spiel.
Okay, hold on one
This
second, Marvin.
this Wednesday we're gonna have Artie Johnson, and she's ready. She had to promote. She had the flyer out before I even got it out. I was looking like, oh my god! But I think she did that because she didn't want to have my animated characters on her doing some,
Yeah, for real.
some crazy dances. So hey, this Wednesday, come out. What we're gonna do at Legacy Bar and Venue. We are going to have line dance and practice on Chicago stepping, also swing out. Now we're going to start to swing out and practicing after the line dance, but Chicago stepping, if some people in there want to get ready for the prelims, come on in. I will partition it if we have enough people. So therefore, Dr. Butterfly should give the workout on the side closest to the bar, and I will have a speaker there for you all available for y'all to listen to. Now, all swing out, all line dancers, make sure you come out as well because you're gonna have a good old barn burning time. Now, swing out folks, getting ready for ISDC, getting ready for the soiree. After the line dance is over and we all come together, then we're gonna go ahead and practice that. Now, if Dr. Butterfly don't mind, y'all on that side practicing in some corner over there, then hey, let's do what it do. Let's get ready for the competitions. Houston is gonna be on the map of winning this year. Again, the homie Nike won the world's largest last year. Big ups to you, Nike. He was there on Sunday doing a walk video. Fantastic. Now,
No,
let's get
wow.
over to our extraordinary.
Are you high this morning? Slow down, something. Chill out. No, go ahead. No, I'm just messing with you. Thought he had a hyper pill.
Okay, his name is Marcus.
Let him come. Let him introduce
Let's get
himself
over
if you
to our
don't know his name.
extraordinary guest,
Marvin.
Marvin. All right, Marvin, what's going on, young fella?
I think he had a hyper pill.
Doing all right. We're doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Marvin?
Well, you know me, I'm mostly military background, turned community activist. I do a podcast, Urban Streets Podcast, try to talk about the everyday issues of everyday people. And, you know, some of my experience, having worked different nonprofit government organizations, just really about our people in the community.
What military branch were you in?
Army. In the Army. I was in the Army.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my sister's retired Army. We just went down there. Did you come out with PTSD out of the Army? Did you
I mean,
escape?
there's always some degree of effect that the military is going to have. One thing you do that does happen is you become like a super like performer. A lot of times you're always holding up a high standard, so sometimes learning how to
Chill.
do that can be a little different.
What? Learn how to chill out.
Something like
Learn
that. Yeah.
how,
I mean, yeah. I
how
mean,
not
just
to do.
yeah. Yeah. So it's like a mindset. It's like a mindset.
Oh yeah, because I've told the people, a lot of my clients deal with something like that. They always got to be doing something, and I said it's actually a positive coping skill. Sometimes to just not do anything can be a positive coping skill. Obviously,
Hmm.
that can go too far. We don't want it to go to laziness, but
Hmm.
sometimes just being able to relax for periods of time and not
Hmm.
overdo things can be a positive coping skill because some people are very busy, but they're not being productive. They're just very busy. Just because you're
Hmm.
doing stuff doesn't mean that you are being very productive. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You could just be doing things, doing things, doing things. And
Hmm.
does that make sense? And it cannot be, you cannot be actually being productive. You could be busy but not productive.
Yeah. It definitely depending on who you are. Some people cope. Well, what I've seen is some people cope with different things by um making themselves busy to take their mind off the thing, but then sometimes like you say, just relaxing, stepping away, sometimes that is the right answer, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can gain a lot of clarity. They have a whole book about it. It's a trauma book. It's called, I don't remember the exact name of it, but it talks about running, 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 running,
Hmm.
running, always doing something,
Yeah.
always doing this, always doing that. And
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know at a certain age, I started getting, especially when I got close to 50, I started being like, I need to work smarter, not harder. So I need to
Yeah.
make sure that I'm not just making moves, but I'm making the
Hmm.
right moves. It's not just about
Yeah.
making moves, but am I making my best next move?
Hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not just a
Yeah.
move like playing the chess. I don't need to just get on a chessboard and move my pawn, just move it anywhere. I need to make sure
Hmm.
that when I'm moving my pawn, that I am moving my pawn to the best space that it could possibly be at,
Yeah.
so that when everything else happens, my pawn is in the right place. And not that I just
Yeah.
moved, just didn't think. And I just got up in the morning and I just hurried up and moved my pawn, but I need to
Yeah.
strategically.
Yes.
And if I don't have no strategic move, sometimes I just need to sit there. Like the old people used to say, sit down
Hmm.
somewhere. Remember the old people
Yeah.
used to say that, sit down somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's a
Yeah.
reminder for me too. That ain't just a reminder for nobody. Reminder for me too.
Yeah.
It don't just be making moves, but make moves that are going to make a real difference. And that depends on, and that goes to your legacy, whatever your legacy is. So what
Hmm.
do you think about legacy? Is that something you think about?
Well, like I mean, I think about it. I mean, it's I think about it. One of the things about that, is like by doing something, obviously you got to believe in it. Most, you obviously want to leave something, make a difference, you want to make a name. When I think about that, yeah, it comes to mind. Sometimes it's clear what that legacy is going to be. Sometimes it's not, but it is ideal to be able to leave that. You know what I mean? I mean, you're going to leave something regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether you intend to or not. But working on that, that's definitely something that comes to mind from time to time.
Right, because it's a saying. It said it's not about what you can. It's not about what you can take, but it's about what you can leave here. It's not about what you can take. You can't take it with you, but you can leave something here. That's what the state is. You can't take it with you, but you can
Hmm.
leave something here.
Yeah.
You have tell us more about you. You have children.
You married? Anything?
No, no children, nothing like that. But you know, originally from Buffalo, New York, and like I said, lived different places. Been in Memphis, Tennessee for a lot of years.
You
Here
know,
in
I grew up in
Houston now.
Jonesboro, Arkansas, right by Memphis.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was down the block.
Yeah, it's definitely different out there. But like I said, I mean, I have different things working on, you know, some websites, some things that I'm working on as far as entrepreneurship for African Americans and, you know, seeing us connected. So that's kind of one of these legacy items that I'm thinking about. But
But tell us more about that. Don't just run over there. Tell us more about that.
it's a lot of things. I mean, it's like, I mean, the thing about it is I don't want to get too much into it before it's time, but the concept is with my issue is dealing with African American culture typically and the things that we go through, and it's multifaceted, you know. I mean, entrepreneurship is cool, but the thing about it is, you know, how do we build relationship? And I only use entrepreneurship as a mental as a baseline because it's one thing that we each have something to offer and it's one way to relate to each other. But I mean, I've seen, you know, from working in churches and like I say different capacities, the main thing that I'm concerned about is African American, relationship and community and what it takes to build that. I mean, that's a difficult task. It's not going to happen. I mean, everybody talks about it, so it's a big concern. It's not something easy to just, you know,
Right.
just go through.
What's the driving force behind it though? Like what made you have that passion? Be passionate about that.
But what we're seeing is a lot of, regardless of your profession, you know, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of jobs. We're seeing a lot of, you know, loss of life among African Americans. So you got to remember, from a social cultural point of view, I believe and I've seen where it doesn't really matter what you want to be in life. You need access to your own people. It's not a issue of wanted or not wanted or believe in it or don't believe in it. You need your own people. It's like an extension of yourself. So if you've grown up being an African American, you recognize no matter how far away you go from the African American community, you still need to be connected to the African American community. And so having worked in these communities for some time, I mean, I've seen a lot of, like I said, loss of life, underperforming people as far as like our potential. Either jobs are not commensurate with our skill set, can't get a job, or just the mindset. And it's really interesting how we've been affected. So, for me, it's definitely a lived experience that has made me want to, be in this vein.
Yeah, okay, you say a lived experience.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, lived experience. I mean, that's it. Being
Yeah,
around the people. I mean, you can't be in Memphis, Tennessee for a long time and see and not
right.
feel like something's missing. You know what I'm saying? Something's
Yeah,
missing. So, and then specifically, I really think actually, notwithstanding, mental health concerns, notwithstanding, other socioeconomic issues, what we've seen is African American spirituality is, missing as far as a practice among our people. And really, that's one of the fundamental things that's keeping us disconnected. So, I mean, we've seen a lot of different things. So it just depends on what angle you're coming from.
right. And I feel like, what you were just talking, it's like, it's hard to, it's like these scopes have to be really narrow,
Okay.
because they're going to branch out big regardless. It's just like me,
Yeah.
I'm a relationship specialist, right? And that's
Okay.
my scope. And that's mostly what I do. But even within
Yeah.
that scope, even though I have that narrow scope, it's not actually a narrow scope. It never. I mean,
Hmm.
it's actually a really huge um, scope. But I focus in that
Yeah.
one area. And then also, of course,
Hmm.
I deal with a lot of grief. I've been dealing with a lot of grief recently with people.
Hmm.
I deal with a lot of other things, mood disorders. I'm a drug and alcohol therapist as well, but also I deal with drugs, but based on how they're affecting, the relationship.
Hmm.
And everything is stemmed around the relationship, how the family's affecting the relationship. And even
Hmm.
then, hold on. Also, I deal with drugs, but based on how they're affecting, the relationship. I'm trying to. Okay. And so, and so, I mean, I think that it would be easier for us to understand you if you narrow your scope even if you narrow your scope, you're still going to be dealing with 100 pieces, 100
Yeah,
different pieces. Even like
I
the
mean, like I said,
spirituality
right
you said,
now,
you African
I'm
Americans,
gonna start with some. I'm going to start with. I mean, far as an actual program platform, I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
start with some entrepreneurship things and bring that to our people. So that's coming
Okay,
up in
so
the
that's your
future.
scope.
But well, that's one program, one scope, if you will. But the real, I mean, I'm also, like I said, I've seen a lot of. We're seeing just a lot of. I mentioned spirituality because that's the underlying. What I'm seeing is the underlying issue among a lot of communities, lack of hope, and how do we turn our belief in what we can be into real results. I mean, spirituality affects everything,
Okay, well,
and
tell us more about that. I like that. I was gonna ask you this morning when we got on here because I listened to a sermon. I love Kirby John. He went to prison. He came out, and man, I just love Kirby John. And he said, "Call on Jesus." I was
hmm
gonna tell you that this morning. You
yeah,
when I came over here, I was gonna say, just call on Jesus because you can always call on Jesus. And some
yeah,
simple stuff we forget.
yeah,
But that's
yeah,
what I was doing before I came on. That's why I was late. I was up here listening to Kirby John
yeah,
uh, this morning. He wanted his sermons online,
yeah,
but he was just
well,
talking about being a blessing to others, being a
yeah.
blessing to others. That you're going to be blessed. You will be blessed. You are already blessed, and about being a blessing to others. But anyway, tell me more about spirituality from your point
All
of view.
right. Well, let's say highlights to some of our guests
Okay,
first.
hold on.
We have Gloria Miller. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining.
Hey, if y'all online, just call on Jesus right now. Just call
Mary
on
Kyle,
Jesus.
good morning. If that is your religion, absolutely
Right.
call on him. We're not forcing any religion. I'm a Christian myself. We don't push religion, but if that's your religion, let's call on the good Lord. Amen. In all my shows, I go into a prayer. I pray for everybody in this world because we all need prayer. We all need something. If you don't stand on something, you stand on nothing. I don't care if you're worshiping a rock, if you're worshiping somebody I don't know. But if you don't stand on something, then you stand on nothing. So, but with here, my faith is the Lord Jesus Christ. But all right, young
Hey,
man,
good morning, Mary. Uh, the twins on here. Good morning, Donna. Donna and Donna. There's two Donnas on here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the spirituality. So you're what?
I mean, because
What you?
I'm
Go ahead.
I'm a postgraduate student, a doctoral student, doctor with a doctor of ministry, and so I mentioned
Okay.
spirituality. What I'm saying, so that's that degree as I'm working on that degree. But I mentioned spirituality as it relates to social justice and the issues of our people because again, it's fundamental. So notwithstanding, different people's, beliefs and whatnot, what I'm saying is, um, the issues of our people. It's like I said, it's like the more you become a human being, the more you recognize, who you really are is tied up in it's tied up in your beliefs. And so for African Americans, I mentioned spirituality because I mean, number one, from a socio-cultural point of view, the Christ factor, we've always had to be an overcoming people. We've always had to rely on God to deal with circumstances in life. We've always to overcome slavery, to overcome oppression. I mean, there's never a time when we didn't need God. So it never came into the United States anyway, a situation where we were able to live life without help from above. So I mention that because essentially, historically, existentially, African American faith is integral to our identity. So that's why it's an important issue. And so if that's the case, when you look at the everyday actual issues in society and you see how faith has brought us where we are, what I'm seeing is a trend where faith, African American faith anyway, especially in Christ, it's not as meaningful. So I mean there's all type of um points of view about spirituality, but again, it's really a part of who we are. But the question is, how do we use it to become who, existentially who we're supposed to be?
Okay. That's interesting. How do we use it extensionally to come who we're supposed to be? How
Yeah,
do you answer that question?
existential.
Give me one ideal on it.
Well, one of the main themes about spirituality is the fact that we all have a purpose, and so ideally the question is, what is that purpose? And so you got to remember the body is made up of, we as humans rather, we're made up of multiple parts, you know, a mind, will, and a soul. Well, the mind, body, and soul. Well, spirit, mind, body, and soul. Soul being your mind, your emotions, and all that other stuff. But you know, your spirituality, your spirit, that's the essence of who you are. And so when we think about having a purpose in life, the way we're made to function, we're not made to live it out by ourselves. And so whatever our purpose is, I would argue, you know what I'm saying, it's going to relate not only to God, but it's going to relate to each other. So you can't really live out a true purpose in life when you're not connected one to another. So I mean, it's just a lot of different thoughts about it.
So you with the connectedness. We've been trying to do like a lot of like collaboration with other, African
Hmm.
American people, and it's not the easiest thing to do because we do have that slavery background. I
Hmm.
want you to know too that I graduated with Houston Graduate School of Theology, but I graduated also with a what's a theology background. It's still counseling, but it's a
Hmm.
theology background. So of course I had to take
Yeah.
the theology courses and stuff too. Even in my
Hmm.
doctoral level, there was one interesting question there. I
Hmm.
didn't mean to get off the collaboration, but there was one interesting question there that we had, and that they had us with a black professor with this. The question was, why should black people, with all that we've been through, because this a lot of black people do get hung up with this. We can't ignore it. Why should black people, with all we've been through and with all we went through slavery, and we were
Hmm.
waiting on God, why should we believe in God?
Hmm. Yeah.
God, because they came up with an answer for that.
Yeah. They
What's your
definitely.
answer on that? Why should black people, with all we've been through, we was waiting on God, and our ancestors was praying, and the white people was even utilizing Christianity to keep black people in line and
Hmm.
keep us
Great.
enslaved.
Yeah.
They use Christianity. You're supposed to obey your leader and all that kind of stuff to keep black people enslaved. And I'm a Christian. I'm just asking you that question because that's a lot of people wrestle with this. And more it seems
Hmm.
to me that more black men wrestle with this than even
Hmm.
black women. But the thing is, and it actually takes away it kind of strips them of their spirituality when they
Hmm.
actually have with this fight. If they don't figure it out, it strips them
Hmm.
from the spirituality, which is something that we always had to go to. We always had spirituality to go to. We always had our Christian beliefs to go to, and our heart and our toughest moments. But then
Yeah.
when they wrestle with this thing, then they are actually stripped. Their spirituality is often stripped away from them. Anyway, what do you say about that conversation?
Well, well, number one with spirituality, it matters the source. So from a Christ-centered point of view, our theology, from a Christ-centered point of view, our theological reference is built in biblical reference. So, spirituality has to have a source, it has to have a foundation. So I'm saying, so, and so when we look at the Bible, at least as a reference point, there's a verse, a scripture, Exodus 23:9, it says, but also thou shalt not oppress a stranger. This is talking to people who've come out of oppression. He says, now that you're not in oppressive conditions anymore, says, you shall not oppress a stranger. Um, Seeing that you were a stranger, you know what I'm saying, and you were previously oppressed, you should not oppress other people now moving forward. Um, and my only explanation, we can't explain everything with God. We can't understand all things. But what we do know as African Americans, one of the things we bring to the table as a people is, because of our suffering, what we know best more than any other group seemingly is we know how people should be treated. So some people know how to create rocket ships and go to the moon, and that's cool. I'm not saying an African American can't create that. We can go to the moon and do all that, but what purpose does going to the moon do for us? With African Americans, one argument is our whole identity is built in understanding the essence of God and understanding the essence of human suffering and how people should be treated. That's like a gift within the African American community. So how do we get that appreciation for that? It's been because of our suffering. The question is just, will we use it to advocate for others the way, even we've been delivered? So why should we believe in God? Well, you can't not believe in God and live out true humanity. So look, you know, I mean, that's just one point of view. But one of the things is we can't explain why did we go through what we go through, went through what we went through. We can't really explain everything, but what we do know is because we went through what we went through, we're able to help others to not go through the same situation. The question is, do we want to live up to that identity?
Right. Well, this guy answered that question. There was a book. There's a book about it. It's wrote by either a black man or African man, one of the two. Not to say they're not the same, but the answer that he came up with was just because someone meant something for bad, a lot of people use something for bad. A lot of people use something for bad. That don't mean that you can't still get good out of something that somebody else tried to utilize for bad. That don't mean that it's still not a blessing for you.
Well, that's I mean, when you look, I mean, that, like I said, that answer is specifically in the context of, you know, a lot of times people get that answer in relation to this notion, which is not a true notion, that somehow Christianity is not an authentic faith, or Christ-centered belief is not an authentic faith just because another group used it to oppress us. And so if that's the framework, then yeah, that's a perfect answer as far as, well, just because other people use parenting to oppress kids, that doesn't mean that every parent is bad. Just because there's bad relationships, male or female, doesn't mean that every relationship moving forward should be subject to speculation. So with Christ, again, yeah, there's been a lot of oppression in the name of God, in the name of Christ, in the name of righteousness, but it doesn't mean that
is, even with that political stance today, it still is. It's a lot of whatever they call them, evangelical, whatever kind of Christians they are, they still are right-winged, and they still just believe in all this division and divisiveness.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean it's the right way, and that's the thing. So for our people, another point of view, which is a different point of view, is this: why should we believe in faith? It's because arguably we understand the true purpose of faith greater than a lot of other groups. So that's an interesting thing. So whereas we've been led by others, maybe it's time that African Americans will demonstrate more, you know what I'm saying, what it should be. We've always done it, and so we need to just continue to live that out.
Say that again, please. That's like really powerful, I think.
We need, the thing about it is that African Americans understand the deepest parts of what it really means to be a practitioner of the faith, and so we really just need to be in a position to demonstrate it and live it out more than, you know, as we're called, because arguably you cannot separate African American identity from African American faith. They go hand in hand.
I'm gonna have to look at that later so I can type it out and make that, and that's a tweetable moment. That's a really good point in that whole thing. Since we know it so well, because we do, our people, and we know connection, we know community really well. I don't know how we really, I mean, we kind of got away from it, seems like, or some in some aspects we moved away from it, and not all aspects, because in a lot of aspects we still keep community, but we know community from slavery.
Right.
Because we know what it should be. We know what it should be. And so the thing is, you know, the question, you know, so I'm a little hung up on the question about why should we believe in God. I mean, just generally,
go back to it.
I mean, you can't really not believe in God and be a human being. It's not possible. But, you know, you can't live greater life without Christ. It's just not possible.
They believe when they on their deathbed, or when if you get shot, you believe it.
Yeah,
you might not believe it when you feel like you don't need them, but if you get shot and you laying on the curb, you believe it when you go say, Lord, please give me one more chance. I swear I won't say that no more. You believe it then, you know, you believe it.
But the thing is, again, there's all type of examples of this.
It might take you from responsibility if you say you don't believe. You don't have responsibility to carry out, to live in a kind of way.
So let's ask this right here. So you say you're Army, right?
Yeah.
So were you in any wars?
Yeah, I mean, Iraqi Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, OIF, all that. Yeah.
So you were. So when somebody was in trouble and they were a non-believer, did you see them convert into a believer?
Right then.
Have you seen them?
Well, I mean, I did some personnel. So I did work with soldiers that had died, soldiers that got injured and had to be excavated from theater and whatnot, and go back to the States. And so I've seen a lot of different injuries, but that wasn't my function as like a chaplain. So I haven't seen like so-called conversions. I know obviously everybody, I haven't seen that in war per se, like necessarily a faith-based component. That wasn't my focus at that time. That wasn't really, that
And you
wasn't
can't just start doing it because you
yeah,
want to.
that wasn't
But
there. But what I'm just speaking, all I'm really saying is, is that African American faith is a part of our identity. And when I look at me personally, when I look at every issue concerning our community, whether it's joblessness, where it's lack of hope, whether it's relationships, the lack of relationships, because one thing with relationships, you see a lot of unnecessary and unwanted singleness in the African American community. What I think separates us in all these issues, if the principles of our faith would actually come into play, a lot of these issues would be alleviated because, and so we're just being challenged,
tell us
we're
more
just
about
being
that.
challenged
Say more about
as a
that.
people. What
You
about
said
what?
issues will be more alleviated with the
Yeah,
principle.
well, so for example, like in this world, what you have is a capitalistic culture, as an example. Capitalism, that's not an African American creation, I don't think. You know what I'm saying? But it's the world
What
we
is
live in.
you gotta not everybody know what you're talking about when you say it. I say that a lot because I'm a therapist, so I need to understand clearly
Yeah,
what I understand. But what
yeah.
is capitalism? Like because you gotta
Capitalism is a system of living where you live according to the more money you have, the more opportunity you have. Capitalism is a system where it basically says you live according to your whole goal in life is to get more money, more and more money. Your quality of life allegedly in capitalism increases by way of money. Now money does add to that, but it's not a thing that you're supposed to live for. So a lot of times in our world, because the more money you have, the more respect you get, the more opportunity you have, that challenges a lot of times directly with our faith as believers, to where we're supposed to be concerned for the things of the poor, the things of each other. And so what you see a lot of times is, a lot of times the system like of capitalism, I say, just as an example, if you don't have a job, a lot of times as African Americans will pursue a job, when a lot of times if we work the principles of community within the African American community, possibly we can create more jobs within ourselves. But
and that's not the easiest thing. Like even
it's not
creating
easy.
jobs within the African American community, it's not that easy because sometimes you have African American people work for you,
Right.
and they take not all the time, but they can take you. What I've experienced personally, sometimes they can take you for granted, but they might take other people for granted too. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
but it's
sometimes
all
people
that
can take
goes,
you.
all that is systemic as far as how we see each other, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It goes to
not to
where,
say a
so
white person wouldn't do it too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm
yeah,
just
everything is not easy, but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It means that if we work at it, we can
right.
learn how to apply our faith to produce real world results.
Right. And I
Right.
do
Right.
think we need to be doing that as a community for us who can promote and provide jobs for others, for other African Americans. We need to be doing that because every community, if you look at the Hispanic community, that Lacamato store or whatever that franchise they got, that grocery store,
Hmm.
however you say it, and then but Hispanic people working there.
Yeah.
And there's a franchise of those, but they did that because they work together. So I do agree, and that's how we take our collaboration stance. It's not easy, but we still do it because we can do it. We collaborate with people just because we can, and we make sure that the relation we do everything we can to make sure that the relationship don't go south. And so
Right.
Hmm.
far, we have not had any relationships to go south, but
Hmm.
we do what we can in the dance community. We collaborate with a lot of people, and not everybody do that, and we do it just because of that. We do it because we can do
Yeah.
it. Like
Like
we know
there's
how.
a thought, from a mental health point of view, that one thing a lot of therapists will ask, which is a right thing to do. They'll ask questions like, well, do you have any support system, right? Do you have a
Right.
support system? Do you have any support system? And some people will answer the question yes, 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 or no, no, no. But guess what is more needed than even support in society, and especially among African Americans? What's really missing in a lot of people's lives is not just support. What's missing is love. You know what I'm saying? Love,
Okay.
lack of love. Now, lack of love, that's a biblical premise of what we need. You know what I'm saying? And then where does love come from? True love comes from God. So all I'm getting at is the more you prioritize human life, the closer you're getting to what God intended for us, and the closer you're getting to what life is supposed to be like among African American communities and others. So there's no way to really live without God. And like I said, money, the need for money challenges our faith. The need for money makes people prostitute themselves. The need for money makes people forget, where you came from. All of a sudden, because you got a good job, now we believe that you don't need African Americans anymore. There's no way that God made it that way when he tells about us that we ought to be concerned for the least among us. And there's no
Right.
greater people that's been oppressed in the United States of America, at least, than African Americans. So you can't forsake us and claim to be of God properly. But again, that's all about how you believe. Now, some people don't want to understand this point, and therefore they reject it. But the more you sit down with your audience and other audiences and try to understand, well, what is this whole thing about God like? How should we live on earth? I think people will come to understand that you can't love God and forsake ourselves and be in right relationship, perfectly.
Right. And it is important. Relationships, connections, collaboration. These are important. They say you can go fast. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, alone, I mean. And if you want to go far, go with people. So if we
Mm-hmm.
want to go far as a community of people, we're going to have to connect and collaborate and build
Then,
communities. And if we're not doing that, then we're not gonna make that huge difference. That difference that when we're gone is still here. We're not going to make that without collaborating and connecting
and you
and
got to
working.
remember
I had a
also,
question. I had a question.
Okay.
Now, I'm sorry, I was trying to, my Facebook is not updating like it should. So this is the twin said, the Xerox twin said, he said, what is the difference between spirituality
Spirituality
and Christian?
and Christian
Why do so many
or religion, maybe.
denominations Christian and claiming spiritual?
Say that again.
Uh,
Let me read that because we know how you be over there.
denouncing
You got on
Christian
glasses now.
and claiming to be spiritual.
Hold on. Let
yeah,
me
yeah,
read the first part
that's a
first.
good
Start over.
question.
Hold on. Start it.
Okay,
Read the
I'll
first
read
part first. Just the first part
what's
first.
the difference between spirituality
And,
and
and
Christian?
religion, really. That's what he
Yeah.
asked. Hold on, Herman. Stop right there. How do you answer that? What's
No,
the
well,
difference between
no. The
spirituality and
question, the
religion?
way I
I think he's
understand the
asking.
question is,
Mhm.
what's the difference between spirituality and Christianity? Not
Okay.
religion.
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's not, no, because the difference you have to remember, and I'm gonna take it back. A lot of historical movements in the United States, like Martin Luther King and other movements like that, you got to remember the Black church has mainly been initially in the United States of America. The Black church, we're talking about a Christian foundation, has been like the major social justice initiative to bring about change for African Americans. It's documented that the Black church, the Christ-centered church, has been used by God to bring about change and justice for African Americans. But because Christ, this notion of believing in Christ is so controversial, some people want to assume that, well, Christ is not God incarnate. Some people believe that, well, it's a white man's religion. There has therefore become a trend for organizations to try to bring about justice for African Americans, but without the spirituality, without Christ. So the thing is, all that is the idea really that we live in a world that is hostile to Christianity. And so people who say they're spiritual, a lot of times what they're trying to do is make a profession that they are connected to God, but they're not necessarily embracing the divinity of Christ as a way to God. So Christ has
Oh, okay.
always been a controversial figure in humanity, because the whole idea of Christ is that he's both man and God at the same time. And so for those who don't want to accept that, a lot of times spirituality is a way for them to, empower themselves with connection to God, allegedly, but without embracing Jesus Christ as God.
Right. So let me ask you another one for twin. That was interesting because usually in counseling, what people are trying to say, they say, well, I'm spiritual, but I ain't Christian. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. They try to say, I don't necessarily believe in a God, but I'm spiritual. I have, like you said, I have a connection to God, and I believe that there is a God, but I don't believe some.
Yeah, but without defining the way to God, without defining there's a specific path, without defining how the connection is. So it's an interesting concept, but again, it's an age-old thing where not everybody is understanding, this notion of the gospel, this notion of, God's intent for humanity, and not everybody is appreciative of the work of God through Christ on our behalf.
What Twin said, are you willing to converse with a non-believer? I mean, I don't know. That's
converse. Of course, we can converse with a non-believer.
He fell off stage like that.
Yeah, no.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you left for a second. You back? You back?
You still there?
Yeah, we're here. Can you hear us?
Go back and come back.
Okay, my bad. All right.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Of course. I mean, we love all people. The thing about God is we love everybody.
With love, right? In the first place.
Let me get a call or something.
Oh, okay. Anyway, this is the guy who's supposed to help with this program.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. What's up with my?
I don't know, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Okay, I think you can see me now.
Tell your people to stop calling until we finish the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Of course, we believe we love all people. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard because even if you love others, just like in therapy and in counseling, it doesn't mean that everybody loves you back. You know what I mean? Just because you have a Christ-centered love for everyone, it doesn't mean that it's reciprocal in all cases. Non-believer or not, the heart of God in Christ is to love everybody. And so that's what makes it challenging, because a lot of times that love, it's hard for people to receive it. It's just there's just a lot of different judgment in this world.
I don't know why your thing is so messed up now. Your signal is so off now.
Yeah, you're coming in and out.
That's the devil that's the devil not wanting us to hear this thing that you're telling us. But yes, can you just come off the stage and come back? Just come off and come back.
Just pull him off. You gotta pull him off.
Hold on.
In 1 second.
Hold on. Now see. Now do. Now talk.
Hold on, now put him back.
He left for a second.
Okay.
Go back.
All right, this is an interesting conversation, but
yeah.
While we have this break, let's go ahead and go into what we got coming up. Wednesday, we have our Artie Johnson. He has her line dance. It's doing the world's largest weekend, prelims weekend here in Houston, Texas. She's going to be doing a Saturday morning set. It is going to be a line dance set with Athena Hawthorne, the AT. And that's going to be at the studio. Now we're also having a second Sunday. It's going to be a special. Our second Sunday in May is going to be a special presentation for all the mothers. And we're thanking you, mothers, for all that you endure and you put up with. So that's coming in May, our second Sunday in May. And we have more to come for next Wednesday. So everybody come out. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting us. This could not be here without all of you. And we love you. Thank you. Now,
Marvin,
are you a praying person? Marvin, are you a praying person?
I would say yes.
Your thing is back. We can't barely hear you again. Your signal's off again.
Yeah, it's computerized.
But
Yeah, I would say yes. I would definitely say
oh,
yes.
okay, there you
to
go.
that.
All right, if we can fit your signal.
Now he on there twice.
Well.
Now you got two
All
of them.
right,
Let's see
hold
if
on,
we
let's go
get
to
rid
the
of
other
one.
Ugh.
Let me see.
Got to
Get
be
rid
a
of this
friend
one.
person.
Okay, let's see that. Yeah, there you go. The second one is better.
All right, let's say something now.
Marvin.
All right, we can hear you better right here.
Yeah, we can hear you better now, Marvin. You can't hear us?
But you gotta look at the camera. You were looking the other way, I believe.
Marvin.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
it's
can hear
great.
you.
Now this is where you were good right there.
Much better.
Yes. What's up
Oh, he
with
can't
the-
hear us. Just talk, Marvin, because we can hear you. So
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Can't hear us?
Turn your volume up on your speakers, probably.
Oh, you know what?
I took him down and put him back. Hello? Yeah, he can't hear us.
Right.
Hear me?
Call him real quick.
Yes. Can you hear us? Hello?
Say again.
Mark, can you hear us now?
No, that's me calling too. That ain't got
Marvin, can you hear us?
Okay, but let's go to the just
Let's see if we have any live questions, and if not, then we're gonna
Darn
play
it.
out.
I can't hear you.
That's okay.
Wow, they must.
Let's go with
Jeez, bro. It's crazy.
let's do this. Any other comments or questions that we have? Nothing up there. Let's see what your
go
feed.
add to stage.
All right,
Okay,
we
what
just
about
gonna
now?
have
You
to- It's not as good of a connection ever since I got the call, but it'll work.
Yeah,
out.
okay, but I can hear. We can hear you well. You can't hear still?
Probably.
Oh, okay. Well, Herman,
Well, all
get ready
right.
because I really got a 9 o'clock appointment this
All
morning.
right, well, we're going to pray out. Lord Jesus, thank you for bringing everybody together on this stage, coming to listen to us, what we have to say. Please bless everybody in their life. Give them what they need. You are the greatest of the greats. You are the Alpha and Omega.
Can you hear me?
You are the
Yeah.
most beautiful
Hold
of the
Oh,
beautiful.
gosh.
Lord Jesus, thank you so much. I like to just say
I
thank
don't know
you for
why.
everything that we need. Please continue to pray over the ones that are struggling, the grief, and everything else. Thank you, Lord. I just want to say you are the only God, and you are the Most High. I love y'all. Peace out. Y'all have a good day.